Today we're tackling something huge. It's one of the most talked about things in the One Piece world.
Oh, yeah.
It is. What happens when the Straw Hats finally face off against the Marine Admirals, in the final war?
Oh, that's a good one.
Ahoy, Nakama, I'm Jiro.
I'm Keiko.
Welcome
to Mean Minion. Here, we uncover the biggest mysteries of One Piece.
From theories to reveals, we've got you covered.
Everyone's got theories, predictions, even like full-on power-level breakdowns.
I know, right? So we're going to get right into it. This isn't just about, who hits the hardest.
It's way deeper than that. It's personalities clashing, ideologies too, and some serious scores to settle, right?
Some bad blood brewing for years.
Years, exactly. And the stakes. Oh, man. The fate of the Grand Line hangs in the balance. The world government, too. Luffy's dream of freedom. It's all riding on this.
Okay, before we predict the ultimate showdown, we got to see where everyone's at, right? I mean, the Straw Hats have been through it all.
They have, and they've come out the other side even stronger. It's like leveling up in a video game.
They've unlocked some serious power-ups.
Luffy, especially. That leap he made is insane. Remember how he was against the Admirals way back? Totally outmatched. But now, Gear 5. Mastery of all three types of hockey. Conqueror's hockey, armament hockey, observation hockey.
He's reached Yonko level officially.
Officially.
Defeating Kaido, the strongest creature in the world. That was huge. But what was it about Gear 5 that let him close that power gap, though?
Gear 5. It's not just brute force. It's like he tapped into pure freedom, imagination even. The battlefield becomes a cartoon. He bends reality itself. That's how he counters Kaido's strength. Unpredictable, limitless techniques.
No, it's a whole new fighting style, not just more power.
Exactly. And his conqueror's haki. On another level, he can infuse his attacks with it now. Devastating. And his crew, they haven't been slacking either. Zoro, training with Enma, his own conqueror's hockey emerging. He's a force of nature.
That scar he gave Kaido.
Speaks volumes. And Sanji, speed with the raid suit, the Ifrit Jambe's power, insane. Maybe not Yonko level yet, but he can handle the big guys.
Oh, absolutely. And Jinbei, our master strategist, fishman karate expert.
Yeah.
His experience, the tactics, a whole new dimension to the Straw Hats fighting.
For sure.
And the rest of the crew, they might not have those crazy power levels, but their skills are vital. Nami, the weather, Usopp, his accuracy, Chopper, so versatile. They all make the Straw Hats a true force.
It's the synergy. They adapt, work together, amplify each other's strengths. That's what makes them dangerous.
So we got the Straw Hats. They've become this powerhouse that can even take down emperors. But then we have the Marines with their admirals.
And don't underestimate the Admirals. They are the world government's ultimate weapons, each one. They each have a devil fruit power, unique and insanely dangerous.
Lay it on me.
We're talking Akainu, Fleet Admiral with the Mago no Mi, Magma, Kizaru, Blinding Speed, the Pika Pika no Mi, Light itself, Fujitora, manipulates gravity, the Zushi no Mi, and Ryukugyu, he controls plant life with the Mori no Mi.
Just listing them is intimidating. But you said the admirals, while strong, they're still a tier below the Yonko, right? So does that mean Luffy has the upper hand now?
Not so fast. Luffy's reached Yonko level power, sure. But the Admirals, they're masters of hockey too. Plus, years of experience fighting the worst pirates out there. You can't discount that. And they got the whole Marine force behind them, Buster Call and all.
Okay, so it's not as clear-cut as it seems. The power dynamic is more complex. But I can't help but picture these one-on-one battles, Luffy versus Akainu, Zoro going against Fujitora.
Those are the matchups that get everyone going. And when you look closer at those potential fights, it goes beyond power levels. It's their personalities, their beliefs, the history between them.
Oh, you got me hooked.
Yeah.
Let's break down these matchups. First, the big one, Luffy versus Akainu. The rematch everyone's waiting for. Revenge, justice, clashing ideals. It's all there.
This one, it's bigger than just settling a score. It's the heart of the whole conflict almost. Luffy, representing freedom, always challenging authority. Akainu, he's the symbol of the world government's justice. Absolute, often ruthless justice.
Right. But Luffy's Yonko level now? All three types of hockey mastered? Does Akainu even stand a chance?
Akainu's Magu no Mi, one of the most destructive devil fruits we've seen, and his hockey, formidable, no doubt. Remember, he clashed with Whitebeard, one of the strongest ever, and won. Underestimating Akainu. Big mistake for Luffy.
True. Akainu's justice, it's driven by this belief in order, even if it means brutality. That kind of conviction can make someone dangerous.
Absolutely. And don't forget the emotional baggage here, Ace's death. It'll fuel Luffy's anger, but it could cloud his judgment, too. This fight, it's a test of Luffy's growth, not just as a fighter, but as a leader. He needs to think strategically, not just emotionally.
So a real nail-biter. Both sides incredibly strong, totally committed to their beliefs. This is going to be one for the history books. Yeah. But what about Zoro? Who do you see him facing?
Most theories say it'll be Zoro versus Fujitora. And that's where the clash of beliefs gets really interesting.
Zoro, he's all about loyalty to his captain, his crew, his justice is personal. But Fujitora, even as an admiral, he's questioned the world government.
Exactly. He's disillusioned with how they operate. He's got his own strong morals, makes him a fascinating opponent for Zoro. Both are amazing swordsmen, but their ideas of justice, totally different.
And this is where Haki gets really exciting, I think. Zoro's armament Haki has grown so much, he can even imbue his swords with Conqueror's Haki. And Fujitora, his gravity powers, they're tied to his Haki.
You got it. How they use Haki could decide the whole fight. Zoro's raw power versus Fujitora's gravity, his strategy, maybe even observation Haki to predict Zoro's moves. Style, philosophy, swordsmanship, it'll all be on display.
I can't wait to see those swords clash.
Yeah.
But what about Sanji? Always up for a challenge, especially if it means showing off his speed and chivalry.
If we're talking speed, it's got to be Sanji versus Kizaru. His Ifrit Janbei against Kizaru's light. Pure spectacle, speed, and power.
Imagine them just blurring across the battlefield, blows landing so fast you can't even see. But doesn't Kizaru have the edge with his light powers? Can Sanji keep up?
Remember, Sanji's gotten faster, training with Germa 66, the raid suit. And his observation Haki is sharp. He can anticipate attacks incredibly accurately. Maybe not light speed, but it might be enough to land that crucial hit.
So not just who's faster, but who can outmaneuver the other, predict their moves. Speed, strategy, explosive kicks. It's going to be wild.
And don't forget the wild card. Sanji's Ifrit Janbei, those flames, they burn super hot. Hotter than magma, maybe. Could that be how he counters Kizaru's white?
Whoa, interesting. We know Haki can enhance, even counter devil fruits. Could Sanji's flames, infused with Haki, disrupt Kizaru's light?
It's possible. That's what makes these matchups so cool to think about. We got their power levels, their known abilities, but there's always that element of surprise. Someone pushing their limits, showing us something new.
Right. Okay, we got these three epic battles brewing. Luffy versus Akainu, Zoro against Fujitora, Sanji taking on Kizaru. But there's one admiral left. Ryokugyu, the master of plants. Who's he going to face?
Going by fighting styles and experience, most likely it'll be Jinbei versus Ryokugyu.
Jinbei, the knight of the sea versus the master of the forest. That's an interesting dynamic.
It is. Jinbei's fishman karate, using water so powerfully, and Ryokugyu controlling the plants. It'll be a clash of elements, each trying to exploit the other's weakness.
But on land, wouldn't Ryokugyu have the advantage? Can Jinbei really handle someone who can control the environment itself?
That's where Jinbei's experience and his tactical mind shine. He's been in countless battles, always thinking ahead. Maybe he doesn't have the raw power of a Yonko or those flashy devil fruit abilities, but he makes up for it with strategy.
So we might see Jinbei using Ryokugyu's powers against him, like manipulating the plants to make openings, traps even.
Could definitely happen. That's why this matchup is so fascinating. Experience versus raw power. Adaptability versus control. We haven't seen Ryokugyu's full potential yet. This fight, it could reveal some surprising tactics from both sides.
All right, we've covered 4 potential matchups that already got my adrenaline pumping. But this isn't just a series of duels, right? It's a full-blown war with so much more going on. The Straw Hats have allies. The Marines have reinforcements.
You're absolutely right. As fun as it is to think about these one-on-one battles, the final war is going to be a lot more complex. The Straw Hats' Grand Fleet, maybe even the Revolutionary Army gets involved. And then there's wild cards like Blackbeard and the rest of the Whitebeard pirates.
Things are about to get crazy.
Oh, yeah. That's why it's so hard to predict what'll happen. And that's what makes it so exciting. We'll get into those complexities in our next segment. The final war in One Piece. It's shaping up to be an absolute hurricane. Clashing forces everywhere.
A hurricane, yeah.
And the Straw Hats, the Marines, they're right in the eye of the storm. But like you said, it's not just them, right?
Right. So many other players, alliances, ambitions. It's like a tangled web. Who knows what'll tip the balance?
It's enough to make your head spin. But let's try to untangle it a bit. We talked about the Grand Fleet, Luffy's allies. How much of a difference do they make in this war?
That's what I want to know.
Well, the Grand Fleet, think of it as Luffy's personal army. 7 powerful pirate crews, all pledged to him back during Dressrosa.
Yeah.
It's a massive boost, manpower and firepower both. And their skills, they're diverse, could be super valuable in a big fight like this.
We talking skilled fighters?
Oh yeah, tacticians, strategists, even a giant warrior.
It's like Luffy's got his own mini Yonko crew. But the Marines, they have a lot of people too, right?
Yeah.
Can the Grand Fleet really make that much of a difference against the whole world government?
That's where things get interesting. The Marines, they're not just mindless robots following orders. They got their own hierarchy, their own sense of justice even.
Right, like Smoker.
Exactly. And we've seen Marines question their orders, disobey even. Some have switched sides completely, joined the pirates.
Oh yeah, even Fujitora, he's not so sure about the world government's absolute justice thing. Enjoying the journey?
Like, subscribe and hit the bell to stay with us.
Back to the adventure. Think this final war could push submarines to change sides?
Absolutely possible. This war, it's going to force everyone to make tough choices. Some Marines, they might see what the world government's really like, the corruption, the brutality, and they might just decide to fight for the Straw Hats instead.
Wow, so the Marines might not be as united as they seem.
Hmm.
And then there's the Revolutionary Army, Luffy's dad's organization. They've been challenging the world government for years. They're like the ultimate wild card, right?
Right? Ultimate. Their goals line up perfectly with the Straw Hats. Take down the world government. They've been prepping for this, gathering strength, waiting for the right moment to strike.
Years, right?
Years. And this final war, it could be their chance to team up with Luffy and his allies.
Man, can you imagine the five elders' faces if they saw Luffy and Dragon fighting side by side, family reunion on the battlefield?
Uh-huh, right.
But wouldn't that make the world government even more determined to crush the Straw Hats if the Revolutionary Army got involved?
No doubt. They see the Revolutionary Army as the biggest threat. If they join the war, stakes get raised sky high. The world government, they'd throw everything they got at Luffy. Sewer pole, maybe even ancient weapons.
So it's not just about beating the Admirals. It's about facing a whole global superpower that wants to stay in control no matter what.
Exactly. This is a clash of ideologies.
Okay.
Better for the future, really. Alliances can shift. Unexpected heroes might pop up. The line between good and bad gets blurry.
It's intense. Okay, so we got the Straw Hats and their allies, the Marines with their potential internal conflicts, the Revolutionary Army waiting in the wings. But there are two big names we haven't mentioned yet, Blackbeard and Shanks. What do you think they'll do in all this?
Those two, Yonko. Always shrouded in mystery. Blackbeard, he's cunning, ruthless, always looking for an opportunity.
Yeah.
Shanks, he's powerful, mysterious, a huge influence on Luffy's journey. It's hard to say what they'll do. Their motives are so unclear. But one thing's for sure. They won't just sit back and watch while the world changes around them.
Blackbeard. He's always scheming, right? Wants more and more power. I wouldn't be surprised if he used the chaos of the final war to his advantage. Maybe even try to steal the One Piece for himself.
That's totally Blackbeard. Ambition and power, that's what drives him. And this war, the perfect chance for him to get what he wants, but trying to predict exactly what he'll do? Impossible. He's a master manipulator. He could make alliances, then betray them in a heartbeat if it suits him.
So Blackbeard's a total wild card. Could do anything. But Shanks, he seems different. Like he understands more about how the world works. And his connection with Luffy is so complex. Could he be a mentor again or even fight alongside Luffy in the final war?
That's the big question, isn't it? Shanks, he's always been about balance. He's on another level beyond all the usual power struggles. His actions, they're often cryptic, but they always seem to have a deeper purpose. Maybe he'll get involved in the final war, but whose side he'll take or if he'll stay neutral, no one knows.
He's fascinating. Can't wait to see what he does. But with all these powerful players, all their different goals, it's starting to feel less like a battle and more like a giant game of chess. World's the board, lives are at stake.
That's a good way to put it. Every move, every alliance, every betrayal, it all has consequences. Could change the fate of the world.
Speaking of moves, remember when the Admirals showed up at Sabaody Archipelago? Before the time skip,
Oh, yeah.
Straw Hats got absolutely wrecked. It was brutal.
Sabaody, that was a harsh reality check. Showed the huge power gap back then. Kizaru, he was playing with the Straw Hats, really. The Admirals, they were just too strong. Forced the Straw Hats to face their own
It
weaknesses.
was a crushing defeat. But it also motivated them, right? They knew they had to get stronger, train harder, if they ever wanted to stand a chance against the world government.
It was a turning point, the catalyst for their incredible growth. They trained like crazy during the time skip, came back stronger than ever, ready to take on Yonko-level threats.
It's almost poetic their biggest defeat led to their biggest victories.
It is, and it shows how One Piece works narratively. Defeats lead to growth. Setbacks make you more determined. And even the toughest obstacles, you can overcome them with willpower, with the bonds of friendship.
So even if things get bad in the final war, even if there are losses, we know the Straw Hats will keep fighting, keep pushing, keep striving for their goal, a world where everyone's free.
That's what One Piece is all about. The human spirit, the power of dreams, believing that anything is possible even when the odds are stacked against you.
Okay, so we got this huge clash coming up. Straw Hats, their allies, the Marines, the Revolutionary Army, wild cards like Blackbeard and Shanks. But we can't forget what happens after the fighting's done. What does the world look like depending on who wins? I think that's a conversation for our final segment. So we've been laying out the battlefield, right? Looking at those exciting matchups, the alliances, everything that could decide the One Piece world's fate.
We have.
But let's think about what happens after. When all the fighting is done, the dust settles. What's at stake? What changes for everyone?
That's the question that keeps me up at night. It's not just about who gets the One Piece, who sits on that empty throne. This war, it's a battle for the world's soul, really.
Yeah.
Tearing down a broken system, building something better. Or if the world government wins, things could get even darker.
Whoa, okay. Let's play it out both ways then. First, the dream scenario. The Straw Hats and everyone with them, they win. What's a world without the world government like?
Imagine it. The celestial dragons, those gods, they're not untouchable anymore. The Marines, they're reformed, focused on real justice, not blind orders. And the seas, free. No more fear, no more oppression. It's a utopia, yeah. But that's what Luffy's fighting for.
That does sound incredible, but honestly, wouldn't it be chaotic? I mean, the world government's been in charge for centuries. Wouldn't things fall apart without, like, a system to replace it?
Oh, there'd be challenges for sure. Power vacuums, instability, people who benefited from the old ways, they'd try to hold on. But the Straw Hats, they're not alone. The Revolutionary Army, they've been planning for this. They have ideas, a vision for a new world order.
So Luffy wouldn't become the new ruler or anything?
Nah, Luffy doesn't want to rule. He wants freedom, not power. It's about letting people govern themselves, letting the people who've been silenced finally have a voice, taking apart the system that lets tyranny exist in the first place.
But what if, and I hate to even say it, what if the world government wins?
Then, it's a bleak future, no way around it. Marines get stronger, more ruthless, crushing any opposition. The Grand Line, even more dangerous. And that dream of freedom, gone, crushed by their absolute justice.
Thinking about that makes it all feel so much more real, urgent even. It's not just a pirate adventure anymore.
It's not. It's about choosing the world we want, controlled by a corrupt few, or a world where freedom wins.
Okay, deep breath. We talked about what could happen, but there's one big thing we haven't mentioned yet. The One Piece itself. What do you think it is? Is it just a mountain of treasure, really?
If it were just treasure, I don't think it would be worth this chase, Decades people have been looking for it. Roger, he laughed when he found it. That tells me it's something deeper, something that could change everything.
So what are we talking about? Ancient weapons, some lost knowledge.
I think. The One Piece is the missing piece of history. The truth about the Void Century, the secrets the world government is so afraid of.
Oh, wow.
Imagine what happens if the world finds out the truth about its past. The lies, the cover-ups.
It'd rewrite everything we thought we knew. Expose the world government, start revolutions. People would rise up, fight for a better future.
Exactly. It's not just treasure, it's a spark for change, the key to a new era, whether it's for good or bad.
Man, this has been quite the conversation. We've gone from those awesome battles to the meaning of freedom, the weight of history. My head's spinning.
That's One Piece for you. Always expanding, always making you think, challenging what you thought you knew.
We've only just scratched the surface of what could happen in the final war. So many questions still unanswered. But one thing's for sure, we'll be here every step of the way.
Thanks for joining us, Nakama.
Have a theory? Share it in the comments.
Until next time, keep chasing your treasure.
See you soon.